Around 2 years ago, I was really pleased to see Stax back on the market. And now we've got another set of Planar Magnetic wireless headphones in the form of the Edifier Stax Spirit S5. Now these headphones do not come cheap. They cost £500 in the UK and $500 in the US. So in this review you can see if they're actually worth their price tag and how they compete with some of their key competitors. So to kick things off, I would like to talk about connectivity, and here it's actually really impressive, specifically over a wireless transmission, more specifically Bluetooth, as it's using version 5.4. Now in terms of codecs, they're pretty much every codec you can think of that are supported. You have got SBC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD, aptX Adaptive, aptX Lossless, LHDC, LDAC, and also Snapdragon Sound. Now I should highlight here that Snapdragon Sound will give you the best sort of audio fidelity, and the same could be said of aptX Lossless. However, these codecs are only reserved with certain smartphones or devices. So just worth considering that, because in my case I'm using an Honor Magic 4 Pro, and therefore I am somewhat capped at the LDAC codec. Elsewhere, these headphones support Bluetooth multipoint, which allows you to simultaneously pair up to 2 different devices at once, making it quite handy if you want to switch between a smartphone and a desktop computer. However, it's worth noting that the Bluetooth multipoint option, which you can enable or disable via the app, which I'll showcase very shortly, will disable the usage of the LDAC and the LHDC codecs. In my case, when I had said option enabled, I was able to see via my Bluetooth developer menu that the aptX HD codec was being used instead. Therefore, I would presume that if you have a smartphone that has the ability of running the aptX Adaptive, aptX Lossless, or indeed Snapdragon Sound, you will still get high fidelity audio playback over Bluetooth and not be degraded even if you are using Bluetooth multipoint. Now it doesn't just stop there, because these headphones support a wired connection. Indeed, over here via an auxiliary connection, or more specifically a 3.5mm jack, I was able to plug them into my Chord Hugo 2 DAC. Furthermore, it's absolutely fantastic to see that you can use a USB Type-C input as well, in other words a digital input directly to the headphones. Here I was able to plug them in via the supplied USB Type-C to Type-A cable to my desktop computer running Windows 10. I was able to notice 24 bits 96 via my Windows control panel. Now this means that the headphones can be used via an auxiliary connection or indeed a digital connection, and you can of course use that wireless connection via Bluetooth. Now the only consideration, however, is that even if you're using a 3.5mm jack or of course a USB Type-C cable, these headphones will require to be powered on, which I do find a little bit baffling, specifically using a 3.5mm jack, but nonetheless it's just something I thought I should highlight in this review. Now connectivity is extremely important for you to attain the best sort of audio fidelity from the headphones. In this respect, if you have got the ability to plug them in, specifically via the USB Type-C input, you'll be able to get the best sort of performance out of them. However, in my case, I felt that it would be more appropriate to do my critical listening over Bluetooth, specifically here using the LDAC codec to my smartphone. Now, despite that fact, I did find that the audio fidelity was absolutely jaw-dropping, even though I was not using the wired connection or even the best sort of Bluetooth codec, because I do not have access to the likes of aptX Lossless, aptX Adaptive, or indeed Snapdragon Sound. These headphones blew pretty much everything else out of the water, including their predecessors, the S3s. Now, I would like to re-emphasize over here that these headphones are using planar magnetic drivers, which is very much different from the vast majority of its competitors, which use dynamic drivers. They also have got 2 micrometer thin films and also a 2nd generation equal mass wiring technology, at least according to the marketing that's been provided by Edifier. Now for me to explain its competencies, I'll go through the sound frequency range, and starting off with the sub-bass tones, in other words that lower end bass that you'll hear in certain songs, or of course if you got certain explosions in movies or games. And here the headphones did a tremendous job of giving me that lower end bass without actually rolling off. It was very engaging to say the least. The same could be said about its overall mid-bass impact. It is a little bit light for my liking, but you can EQ this via software on your smartphone or of course a computer, or even directly via the Edifier app. I actually found that I was EQing it a little bit, but then ended up going back to the original EQ because I just felt that these headphones did excel across the sound frequency range. And even though it felt a little bit bass light, it was still very much sufficient even when I was listening to more challenging R&B, D&B and EDM tracks. Now what really left me jaw-dropped more than anything was the overall mid-range reproduction. It was coming up to the foreground, and therefore male and female vocals were absolutely exquisite. It actually completely blew the S3s, its predecessors, out of the water, and even the likes of my Bose NC 700s or my Sennheiser Momentum Wireless 4s. These headphones all looked pretty bad in comparison to the Stax S5s. Indeed, these headphones do an absolutely incredible job of giving you a very engaging mid-range, and this is something that I've not really experienced before when it comes to a set of wireless headphones. Now when it comes to the highs, they are a little bit accentuated at the top end, and therefore if you have sensitive ears, you might feel that they're a little bit fatiguing on your ears, and therefore you might want to EQ it. Yet again, it is great to see that you have got an equalizer via the app, which I'll showcase very shortly. Yet again over here, I felt that while listening to roughly 1 to 2 hours with the headphones, I didn't have any problems. But once I was going a bit over that, then I actually found myself having to EQ them because I just felt that my ears were getting a little bit tired of listening to that very top end cymbals. Now indeed over here you have got great sort of sound at the top end, and they don't roll off in the slightest, yet again making look other headphones pretty poor. Now when it came to the overall soundstage, this is an area that I was actually disappointed in when it came to reviewing the S3s, but thankfully the S5s do an excellent job, both in terms of the overall instrument separation, positional cues, tonality, the imaging, and also the overall width and depth. You just feel really engaged, and you can hear percussions coming from left and right and almost making you turn your head from left and right. Yes, indeed, the soundstage is absolutely excellent and absolutely jaw-dropping. Yet again over here, comparing it to some other flagship wireless or even wired headphones, the S5s did an absolutely excellent job, and therefore means that across the sound frequency range, including when it comes to the overall soundstage, I had no complaints whatsoever. Moving swiftly on, we get onto recording quality, and everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the Edifier headphones. Subjectively, I'll say that the recording quality is decent, although it is a little bit muddled, and I'll be switching over to some Sennheiser headphones in order for you to have a bit of a benchmark. Before doing so, I would just like to face my bookshelf speakers and kind of replicate how it would sound if you're in a busy environment. For me to do this, I'm playing back a track. It's from PreaJ titled Like Me, and it's coming from my bookshelf speakers. Now if I go quiet, hopefully that kind of gives you an indication as to if, for example, someone was speaking nearby you and how your recipient would actually perceive your call if you were wearing the headphones while, of course, accepting said call. And just like that, we've transitioned to the Sennheiser Momentum 4 wireless headphones. Hopefully you'll agree with me that the overall recording quality of the Sennheisers is far superior than the Edifiers. Although it's worth bearing in mind over here that the Sennheisers do suffer from a lot more background noise. Hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate this right now because I'll be playing back the same track, which is from PreaJ titled Like Me from my bookshelf speakers, and I haven't changed the volume, and yet you'll hopefully be able to hear her vocals a little bit more in comparison to when I was running the Edifiers, specifically when I go quiet. So hopefully that demo gives you a little bit of a comparison as to how the Edifiers perform in comparison to some other headphones out there, such as the Sennheisers. Now, aside from using them while on the move, you can also use the Edifiers as a wired headset. And yes, indeed, everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the headphones themselves, which are connected over the supplied USB Type-C to Type-A cable to my desktop computer, which is then using NVIDIA Shadowplay for this recording. Now, the audio recording quality is actually pretty impressive. However, there are certain limitations that you should be aware of. First off, the overall sampling rate is quite disheartening, and you'll be able to see over here a screenshot from my own Windows 10 platform. And also that if you're going to be using this simultaneously to listen back to music, or for example, if you're going to be gaming with these on, you should note that the overall audio is severely degraded, so much so that I almost describe them as a budget set of £20 to £50 headphones or indeed earphones. They're certainly nowhere near the overall audio fidelity that you would expect. So therefore, if you really do want the utmost audio quality and you really want to get the most out of them, you'll have to use them outside of headset modes. But it's good to see that these headphones have got that capability of also transforming into a headset if, for example, you just want to take some calls. Past the overall recording quality, I would just like to mention that these headphones do not have active noise cancellation technology, or ANC for short, which is actually quite surprising and disappointing given their overall price point they come in at. Nonetheless, the overall passive noise isolation that I got with these headphones, specifically using the lambskin ear pads, was actually pretty impressive. But it's just something I thought I should highlight, given that if you do look at some of its competitors, namely in the Bluetooth market, you'll find that pretty much all of them offer ANC. Alas, that's not the case with the Spirit S5s. Moving on, we get on to the Edifier Connect X app, and through the main interface you can see the remaining charge. You can also see if high-res audio playback is being utilized over a wireless transmission. For example, over here I've got the LDAC codec and audio playing, and therefore the symbol is illuminated. The same could be said if I was using Snapdragon sounds. Now here you can also switch between the different ear pads, which will affect the overall sound quality of the headphones, which I'll be touching upon very shortly. And you've also got the sound effects. Now this is something that I alluded to before, where you've got original, dynamic, monitor, and customize. I'd suggest original, or of course going into the customize tab and adjusting it for your own heart's content. Here you can see I've got a 4-band EQ. You can adjust the Q factor, which can be a little bit convoluted, but there's a small little explanation over here, which effectively means that adjusting the certain frequency band and how much of it is. And that is because you have got 4 different frequency ranges that you are adjusting via these EQs over here. Hopefully it makes sense, but nonetheless it's good to see that you've got a good degree of customization, and you can also add separate EQ profiles, if for example you listen to different type of music or you're sharing your headphones. Then you've also got game mode. I had no issues when it came to latency while using these headphones while watching movies or indeed playing back YouTube videos, but of course if you're going to be a hardcore gamer you might want to enable game mode in order to get the best sort of latency from the headphones. As for the overall settings, you've got a user manual and then you've got the control settings. This allows you to adjust the multifunctional button, which is found just below the plus and minus buttons. It's a shame over here you have not got that much customization, but nonetheless you've got the ability to switch between the sound modes, game mode and voice assistant, be it on a single press or a double press, and yes, they can be done independently. Now the buttons themselves are actually very easy to press, and it's good to see that the plus and minus not only adjusts the volume, but you can also hold them down in order to have a previous and next function. You've also got the ability of playing, pausing, or of course accepting or rejecting a call. Moving back to the app, you can see that there's an HD audio codec section, and this is specifically for the LDAC and LHDC codecs. And indeed over here you can customize it or of course disable them altogether. Then you have also got that Bluetooth multi-point option, which you can toggle on and off, but do bear in mind what I did mention about LHDC and LDAC, where in other words it won't work simultaneously. Then you can adjust the prompt volume, adjust the power off timer or completely disable it altogether. And then you've also got the Bluetooth settings where you can disconnect Bluetooth or of course repair. Moving on from the app, I would like to talk about its overall build quality and design, and here I've got no complaints whatsoever. Indeed, in comparison to their predecessors, the S3s, the S5s don't have any sort of creaky sound or any harsh button presses which would resonate within your ear. So therefore it's good to see that Edifier/Stax have actually looked to address this in their premium flagship offering. Furthermore, the headphones themselves are very comfortable, at least in my opinion. You've got a nice padding at the top, which means that when the headphones are worn for a long period of time, the plastic won't sink into your head. You've also got an adjustable headband, and one that can also be folded inwards and outwards, therefore giving you good sort of versatility if you're going to be taking them on the move. You've also got the ear pads themselves, which can be replaced, be it via the lambskin one, which are actually provided, or indeed the other ones within the box, which have got a fabric mesh design, the latter being potentially better suited for those people who are going to be sweating a little bit more or just want a bit more of an airy sort of feel. And here, of course, you might want to use the app to switch between the 2 different ear pads, and also the overall clamp force is done to perfection. Again, subjectively, because here I did feel that while using them for a long period of time, I didn't have any sort of discomfort, even if I was wearing some reading glasses. Although it's worth noting over here that if you're going to be using these headphones for some really excessive gym workouts, then you'll feel that they might be a little bit too loose on your head. Another important factor when it comes to wireless headphones is battery life, and here you've got a whopping 80 hours of playback time, at least according to the manufacturer. I can't really attest to this, but I can safely say that I only plugged in the headphones when I first received them and therefore charged them, and after that I didn't actually charge them a single time, which just is a testament to how well the battery life actually performs. Furthermore, it's actually really easy to charge them because via the USB Type-C input, a quick 15-minute blast of charge will give you a supposed 13 hours of playback. Now, I thought I should also point out that if you were to use these headphones and also want to simultaneously charge them, you won't be able to do so. Indeed, as soon as you plug them in to charge, it will automatically disconnect you from anything, be it a wired or wireless connection. Thankfully, however, the battery life is really impressive, so this should be a non-issue. Rounding off, I would just like to commend Edifier for providing a premium package, not only in terms of the outer box, but also in terms of the actual contents themselves. See here, you've got the headphones, you've also got those additional ear pads which come in within each a small little soft carrying pouch. You've got a 6.3mm adapter, a small little guitar pick looking thing which is effectively used for helping you remove the ear pads from the headphones themselves. You've then got a 3.5mm to 3.5mm cable and a USB Type-C to Type-A cable, and you've also got a hard shell carrying case which does actually look the part. So indeed over here it's great to see that the manufacturer has thought it through, and therefore the entire package contents just feel all that bit more premium. So with all that in mind, can I see myself recommending the Edifier Stax Spirit S5s? Well, they don't have active noise cancellation, which is quite disappointing, and the recording quality can be improved. However, when it comes to the overall audio reproduction, I do think they're uncontested. Sure enough, they're pretty expensive in comparison to the vast majority of other headphones out there that offer even more features. But you have of course got even more expensive wireless headphones out there on the market, and in this respect I do think that the S5s are competitively priced for what they offer. So as a result, if you can actually afford them, I do think that you should go out and buy them. As a result, they get my Best Buy award, because I can see myself actively recommending them to the vast majority of consumers that do simply want the best sort of audio fidelity and don't care about the likes of active noise cancellation, or are not as concerned about the overall recording quality. Now I'd be curious to know what you make of the S5s down in the comment section below, and if you would pick them over some of the rival alternatives. Now if you have enjoyed this detailed independent review, definitely do consider dropping a like, subscribing and hitting that bell notification, all of which would be greatly appreciated and allows me to continue delivering honest reviews like this one. As such, I've been Totally Dubbed, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.